Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a topic that's, well, fundamental to our human experience, yet maybe one we often take for granted: adult friendships.
Yeah, definitely.
What truly makes them tick? Why are some so incredibly vital while others, can feel like a struggle?
It's a great question.
We've gathered a stack of sources here, everything from systematic research reviews to some really personal ethnographic studies to try and unearth the hidden dynamics.
Some fascinating stuff in there.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to uncover not just the universal benefits, but also the incredibly varied ways these relationships are built, maintained, perceived,
Mm.
especially when facing unique challenges.
Mm.
Get ready for some aha moments, I think. These might change how you think about the bonds in your own life.
Oh,
Okay, let's unpack this.
let's do it. It's almost intuitive, isn't it? We feel that friendships are good for us. It's like this deep-seated knowing.
Totally. You just know it.
And the research, it unequivocally supports that feeling. There's a recent comprehensive review published just last year, actually.
Okay.
It synthesized findings from nearly 40 studies spanning like 2 decades.
Wow, that's extensive.
It is. And it unequivocally confirms that adult friendship either predicts or is strongly correlated with overall well-being.
Okay, so it's not just a nice to have, it's fundamental, a
Yeah.
pillar of a good life.
Exactly.
But what exactly is well-being in this context? Because it's easy to just think feeling happy, right? But this research seems to go deeper.
It does, much deeper. This review uses a really expansive view, drawing on something called the PERMA theory.
PERMA.
Yeah. It defines well-being not just as, the absence of negative feelings, but the active presence of positive psychological functioning.
Like what specifically?
Things like life satisfaction, a sense of purpose or meaning, personal growth, authenticity. It captures both those immediate hedonic elements, pleasure, comfort, enjoyment, and the deeper eudaimonic elements, so meaning personal development, that kind of thing.
And for those unfamiliar, PERMA stands for positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. It's a great framework, actually.
It really is.
It helps understand how different parts of life, especially friendships, contribute to really flourishing. That's a huge shift from just feeling good, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It suggests we should maybe seek out friendships that nourish both our joy and our personal evolution.
Precisely. And the review really zeroed in on what makes these friendships so impactful. It found that friendship quality
Quality, okay.
and simply socializing with friends, just spending that time, are strong predictors of higher well-being.
Makes sense.
But it goes deeper. The number of friends we have, that plays a role. Also, how friends react to our positive events and, celebrating our wins.
Well, that's interesting. The reaction matters.
Yeah, supporting a friend's autonomy, too. And critically, the sheer effort we put into maintaining a friendship, all positively correlated with our well-being.
Effort. So it's an active process. It's not
Right.
just passive connection.
Not at all.
And it's not just about the external thing, the connection itself, but what it does inside us.
Exactly. The relationship is mediated by things like developing a personal sense of uniqueness, feeling like you matter,
That's huge.
the satisfaction of basic psychological needs, and even subjective vitality, that feeling of being alive and energized.
Okay, this is all really compelling evidence for
Right.
the power of friendship. But it leads to the big question. If we know all this, why do friendships sometimes feel like so much work? Why are they hard?
That's a vital question, isn't it? Because it's clear that while the benefits are profound, forging and maintaining these bonds isn't always easy.
Hmm.
For many people, there are specific challenges that shape their entire approach to connection.
Right, and that's where some of our other sources come in handy. Ellen Bard, she wrote a piece called How to Create Friendships with Deep Connection and Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And she echoes that idea that quality often trumps quantity. She really emphasizes the role of vulnerability, referencing Brené Brown, of course.
A key theme there.
Totally. She sees it as core to creating connection. It's about revealing yourself, but slowly building trust. And interestingly, being willing to accept help, not just always being the giver.
That's a hard one for some people.
It really is. Bard points out that friendships, just like any other important area of life, are worth investing your time in. They require mindful cultivation and maintenance.
That mindful cultivation piece is important.
Yeah, true friends are worth that effort.
Definitely. And building on that idea of intentional work, we also need to acknowledge that for some, even those basic steps of building connection can be incredibly challenging.
Right.
Which brings us to a different angle. For instance, Sarah Livesey's research. She looked at social anxiety.
Okay, social anxiety, how does that play in?
Well, she found that higher levels of social anxiety consistently predict poorer friendship quality. And not just in adolescence, but carrying into adulthood.
And that affects well-being too.
Yeah, it can uniquely contribute to depressive symptoms, according to her findings.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you struggle with assertion or just feel constantly tense in social situations, building those deep, vulnerable connections Ellen Bard talks about, that would be incredibly tough.
Extremely difficult.
Even for introverts, as
Hmm.
Bard mentions, right? They also crave deep connection, but it can take a while to get there. They might prefer a few close, meaningful friends over lots of superficial ones.
Exactly. Different styles, different needs.
So we've explored these sort of universal pillars of connection and some common hurdles like social anxiety or introversion. But what happens when those hurdles become, well, mountains? Or when the very map of social interaction is drawn differently?
Yeah. What can we learn when we look through a different lens?
That's where we're going next. We're going to turn our attention to how these dynamics play out in specific populations. We're doing a fascinating deep dive into friendships among autistic adults.
Okay.
We're drawing heavily from Jad Brake's ethnographic research. It's called Autism in Practice, Establishing, Maintaining, and Understanding Friendships Among Autistic Adults in British Columbia.
That sounds really interesting.
It is. This is where I think it gets really illuminating, not just about autism, but about human connection more broadly.
Yeah, Brake's work is crucial here because it intentionally moves away from a deficit model.
What do you mean by deficit model?
Well, looking at autism purely in terms of what's lacking compared to neurotypical norms. Instead, Brake shifts the perspective to understanding autism as a neurological difference.
A different way of being wired.
Exactly. Previous research often focused on children, or maybe clinical observations, but Brake really brings to light the lived experience of adult friendship in this context, giving voice to those actually navigating these social landscapes.
And it was ethnographic, right? So embedded in their lives.
Precisely. Both in person and, due to the timing, online interactions during the pandemic. It provided incredibly rich insights.
And what did it show?
It shows that friendship for autistic adults is profoundly shaped by, well, several key things. Unique sensory experiences, distinct communication styles, and often powerful past social realities.
It's a powerful reminder that our social world is definitely not one size fits all.
Not at all.
So let's break that down. Sensory experiences first.
Yeah.
How did that impact friendships?
Dramatically. Many participants described living in a sensory world that deeply affects their social lives.
Like specific examples.
Yeah, take Eric. He finds movie theaters unbearable, not because of the volume, but because of the food noises people make.
Wow, okay, that's specific.
Or even finds waterfalls too loud. Frank struggled to keep track of conversations in a noisy cafe, just too much input.
Right, the background noise.
And Andrew differentiates between what he calls organized sounds, like music at a rave where he can use earplugs, and unorganized sounds.
Like multiple people talking.
Exactly, multiple conversations at once. He finds that overwhelming.
Eric finding movie theaters unbearable because of food noises. That's such a visceral example.
Yeah.
It really makes you rethink what a social environment even means for someone with those sensitivities.
Absolutely. And these aren't just minor irritations. They create a significant energy drain. Social interactions become exhausting.
Like physically tiring.
Yes. Participants like Linda described it simply as being always exhausted. This leads to what the research calls a loop of sensory emotion influences.
Okay, what's that loop?
The sensitivities cause anxiety, which then in turn heightens the sensitivities. It feeds itself.
Ah, I see. Vicious cycle.
Totally. So people develop coping strategies. Earplugs, headphones, sunglasses. Victoria even mentioned sometimes using alcohol to try and reduce sensitivity when socializing.
But the impact goes beyond just personal discomfort, right? It affects the friendships themselves.
Directly. Jolie observed that being unable to engage in noisy environments, like going to the pub with classmates after class.
A very typical social thing.
Right. She said it directly affects the ability of people that you are trying to make friendships with. These sensory challenges actively limit opportunities for connection.
It's a powerful reminder that connection isn't just about what you say, is it? It's about creating an environment where someone can actually be themselves comfortably.
Exactly. For many, that means quiet, predictable spaces.
Okay, so sensory issues are one major factor. What about communication differences?
That's the other big piece, often coupled with sensory issues. Many autistic adults, like Olivia in the study, describe literal thinking.
Taking things very literally.
Yes. struggling to understand non-literal language, sarcasm, implicit intentions, which can lead to, as she put it, getting into troubles or feeling misunderstood.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Jennifer and Neil spoke about difficulties picking up on facial cues and body language, or processing social cues quickly enough.
Things neurotypical people often take for granted.
Completely. Managing conversations like knowing when it's your turn to speak or how to interject can be, in Emily's words, exhausting and overwhelming.
Exhausting again. That word keeps coming up.
It does. Maya expressed a wish to just put people on pause so I can think of what to say, because conversations often move too fast.
That feeling of needing a pause button. I bet many listeners can relate to that, even without autism.
I think so too. Linda even described her mind just freezing when asked a direct question under pressure. This constant self-monitoring, the overthinking social rules, it's incredibly tiring.
That idea of putting people on pause just for a moment to process, it really highlights how demanding constant social negotiation can be for anyone, but especially here.
And the consequences are significant. Liam's silence in group settings, for instance, wasn't disinterest, but it was often misinterpreted that way.
Leading to isolation.
Exactly, social isolation. These communication challenges can impact employment, too. Victoria, Alice, and Linda all mentioned this. Jolie even retired from her law career, partly because of these communication difficulties.
Wow, so it's not just social awkwardness. These are real systemic barriers impacting fundamental parts of life.
Absolutely.
But despite these huge challenges, the sensory overload, the communication hurdles, the research also showed a strong desire for friendship, right? People were actively adapting.
Very much so. A strong desire for connection. And what's truly fascinating is how they forge these connections, how they adapt.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, instead of prioritizing talk, that kind of intense verbal back and forth, many prefer doing
Let's stick
activities.
things together.
Yeah. Tony's regular board game meetups were a perfect example. It's a structured activity. The shared interest, the game itself, is the primary bond, not necessarily deep, intense conversation.
So the activity provides the framework.
Exactly. Jolie